Alright, everybody, we are back. This is Scorpio
Aquarius.
and we're going to talk a little bit about like the media and then talking about Trump and everything that's going on right now. But a lot of times people think it's like, yeah, he does say some silly stuff, but overall, it's like he's been doing a lot of great things, a lot of negative publicity, and that's the thing people need to realize too is when the media is constantly attacking somebody, especially as much as they do, even for anything and everything, trying to make him look like an evil person. You should look on the other side of that also. It's like don't just believe what's being told to you. You might want to think for yourself also.
I feel like most of the people that are actually like the wool is pulled out from over their eyes can see pretty clearly that this is like the media is pretty like BSing everybody. And they kind of can read between the lines.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of people that already can see that this is all just nonsense, but it's like this might help some of the people that are kind of on the fence or like trying to figure out like what's going on. It's like just think about it from another point of view. It's like if they're like, yeah, they're gonna impeach him. It's like if they had enough evidence to impeach him, they would have done it a long time ago, and they wouldn't wait till like the next election coming up. What they're trying to do is get people's minds like, hey, look, 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 look. We have a bunch of evidence against him, just to try to like throw the election in another direction. But a lot of people aren't really buying it.
Or even just they're just trying to distract from like all the other stuff that's actually going on, and especially the political and like in the world right now, because there's a lot of things that are changing, and that's a good way to make sure people aren't aligning with like the good changes that are happening, or in the long term there'll be good changes by like distracting people with like silly stuff, right?
That's true. It's like there's so many things going on. A lot of different gateways, portals, a lot of energy changes, fluctuations, a lot of clearing of old energies. A lot of these things are happening, and they are doing everything they can to distract. And that's one of the big ones. Is talking about the upcoming elections, and obviously a lot of people know a lot of the big ones. It's like binge watching shows or sports games are starting to pop back up, and like they have sports year round. It's like they have all, and then there's like weather problems. They're like, oh look, there's another hurricane. It's like, yeah, these things are issues, but the thing is like they're also trying to like overly expose you to them to make it so you're afraid to go outside for one. Two, like also they're just trying to make it so you are always worried and you don't think about anything but like what the media is trying to tell you to think about. Like they don't want you to think for yourself at all. But there's a lot of people that are getting away from that, which is a great thing.
Yeah, it's moving in the world is moving in a good direction. Whether you or wherever your I guess awareness is at, even if it's on one end of the spectrum versus another, like there's two ends of the like I feel like the vision down the middle is pulling like it's almost like duality in this world is becoming more the duality is stronger, if that makes sense. Like the ends of the spectrum
Yeah.
are more intensified, so the gray area in between is getting less and less of like where you can think or like be at the space you can be at. That gray place in between is getting less and less, sort of, or at least that's the what it looks like. But I don't remember where I was going with that. But
Oh, absolutely. It's like you can see that a lot of people probably have seen for themselves. There's people that are like more the extreme people are becoming a little bit more extreme. The peaceful people are becoming more peaceful. But some of them is like you're starting to see that there's like a massive line being drawn between everybody, and they're starting to all deviate, like not deviate, but like all go in different directions, and like it's harder for them to really understand and relate with each other anymore because it's like we're almost living like two different worlds.
yeah, the division is widening. But to talk a little bit more about Trump, I just think it's interesting because I remember back when he was first elected. This is also to show like how my consciousness has changed over, or my awareness or whatever has changed over the past few years. I remember back when it was around the time when I first started to wake up to the truths of the world about the Earth plane, the flat Earth, flat quote unquote Earth, the Earth plane, stationary Earth plane, the whole just basically all of the historical misinformation that's out there, coming to like a lot of that. So it was around that time when I first started realizing all that stuff. But so the elections were coming up, and I remember I was for Bernie Sanders, and then he dropped out of the election. I don't know if it was right around when I realized that because then it was Hillary Clinton and Trump, and I was like, okay, I don't think either one of them are very good. And then I started researching both of them, and discovered Hillary Clinton's track record because I wasn't really into politics my whole life, really, basically. So I didn't know. I knew that they were corrupt a little bit, but I didn't realize how corrupt until you really start to dig. So I was like, well, we definitely don't want her to be president. And then when Bernie Sanders started to back her too, I'm like, well, clearly he's a sellout, right? So it was good that he dropped out anyways, I guess. But then, and I was doing my own research on Donald Trump because I didn't really know a lot about him except for The Apprentice and like a couple other things. But I remember watching this video of him it was like an interview back in like the, I don't know, like 80s or something. I think maybe he was on Oprah or something. But she asked him some question, maybe something about being president. But he was, so the way he was talking, like, I guess when you get to a certain place in your life, or I know I guess it's easy for me to like look at someone and tell that they're telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, and I could see that he was talking from a place of like integrity and like at least knowing that okay, he wants to do good. You know what I mean? Not
Absolutely.
like I didn't see like a lot of corruption in what he was talking. I was like, okay, so wait. And I was like, wait a minute, is this really the guy who's running for president? He could have changed that much from then to now, really? And so I did more research or whatever on him. But yeah, I mean, I found out that for the most part, he seems to be pretty aligned to what he's saying. For the most part, people were like, well, of course, but he is not as corrupt as people think he is. I don't think he's really that corrupt at all, to be honest with you. But so after that, whenever people would ask me about it, I'm like, well, if you want to do the best thing for this world in the long run, you should vote for Trump. But if you're not into it, then don't vote, whatever. People are like, what? Vote for Trump? You're crazy. But he's a racist and he's all these other things. I'm like, but look, he's not a murderer. So he's not a mass murderer. So, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that was the same time for me as well, because I was like, oh, go Bernie Sanders. Then he backed out and then was like, Hillary Clinton, I'm supporting you. I was like, wait, whoa.
Like, they got to him.
Yeah, then you'll start to like look at what kind of a person he is, because you're like, wait a second. So it's like if you're that quick to back out and start to support her, that means if you did actually win, you would have just did exactly what they told you to do anyways. And that's the thing. That's like that's not the kind of person you want to run the country, to just do whatever.
Quote, run the country.
Yeah, quote unquote, run the country is do whatever who has the most money and whoever is gonna do you favors, like which was what Hillary Clinton has going all the time. Is like she just does things for her own self benefit, and you can tell by how she talks that she lies straight through her teeth. It's like that's why her face. She had like train herself to like have a very stoic looking face, because it's like she's not like when she smiles, it's that fake politician smile that everybody knows, where it's like hey everybody. It's like it. But when you see it, like Donald Trump actually speak, he doesn't have to like put on a fake show. He just does and says what he feels like he's saying, because it's coming from a place of who he is, and not just like I'm just saying something that you guys want to hear, so you back me up so I can do whatever I want. He actually is genuinely telling you what he plans on doing and does it. There's no sideways talk or any of that stuff, no double speaking, anything like that. He tells it what he's gonna do and does it.
And that's sort of kind of that, for the most part, that's what it looks like, right? I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what was I gonna say? Obviously, now flash forward to the current political scene, and I already knew, and I picked up pretty quickly after I realized, we definitely want this person to win, so our best option is this one. That, you know what, the world needs to be shooken right now, like.
Absolutely.
And we shake it and see where the pieces fall, however it's gonna happen or whatever, and the best person to be, in that place for that to happen would be Donald Trump, obviously.
Yeah. We don't need to play the status quo anymore or continue what we were already doing. We needed someone like him to come in and change things up Because what it does, when you change things like that, it gives you a new perspective, and it actually gives you an opportunity to just see how things really were actually going, instead of just being like, okay, we're just continuing going down the same path. It's like you can see that there's other paths, and you're like, okay, whoa, oh, this is different. Let's see how this goes. Because why not try something new when what we were doing obviously was broken?
Yeah, and even if you don't agree with everything that he is doing or whatever, it's like it's still the perspective. There's too much things that were in along the line of how things were before. And yeah, to shake things up, basically, you have to put someone like that in. And so, again, fast forward to now where we are. Yeah, they're going to try to play the whole thing again because they don't want him to be reelected. And all of his opponents who are Democrats are kind of like probably some of the, like, I don't really, if anyone like really considers them to be serious candidates, then I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just interesting what's going on in the world right now as far as the politics and then and what's happening right now. What you see on TV, that's just the surface layer of everything, and a lot of it is like not really so made up, but fabricated. A lot of it's a storyline that they're playing to really distract you from like the underneath things that are happening. A lot of like I don't know any details, but you can sense it in the air. I don't know how to explain that, but
Well, it's a good example is like when if they don't want a company to continue anymore, even if it's doing perfectly fine, the media will be like, oh no, this company is going out of business, oh my gosh, their stocks are falling, all this is happening, and people, because they are hearing it through the media, they start to believe it, and that company will eventually crash because they're like, well, people aren't coming to buy anything anymore because
group consciousness, collective consciousness
Exactly.
manifestations.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do, but it's like because of how the world's been changing, it's not easy for them to do that anymore. So that's why they're trying so desperately hard. And like every news station, everyone tries to talk about. Even celebrities are coming forward. Anyone that has any kind of a following says these things.
What things?
Like Trump is going to be impeached. Trump is a bad person. Trump this. I don't support him. He's an idiot. They're trying to get it in there, but it's like it's falling flat, and they don't like it. So it's like we'll see how things progress, and I'm definitely liking how things are going. I'm looking forward to this next election year. If he gets reelected, it's going to be a great thing for the whole world.
Well, and because it's mainly because there's someone there in that place that's not going with this status quo of basically screwing over everybody and taking everything for themselves and their henchmen. It's not that vibe anymore. So definitely continuing along those lines so that the changes that are happening in the whole world, the earth and people and whole consciousness in general can continue to exponentially grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And that about wraps it up. Anything else you like to add?
I think that's all.
All right, everybody.